Hey everyone, it's Strange Michael. I hope you're doing well today. I have a review here for a 2012 film that I've kind of always wanted to see, just like the previous film I reviewed, and I'll show you in a moment those two things because actually they're very intertwined in a very strange way. Another Tim Burton produced film, one that was based on a book, and the writer of that book actually adapted that book into this movie script. And it's directed by the guy who was part of something else I just reviewed. I'll show you in a moment, interestingly enough. This is Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, directed by Timur Bekmambetov, which I also just reviewed 9. I had never seen this before, always wanted to, just watched it and reviewed it literally yesterday, right before I saw this and reviewed it. So, Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter is a weird tie to my life right now with how I have these two things intertwined. Neither of them being great. 9 was a fine, solid movie. Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter sucks balls in every possible way. It is probably the most CGI-riddled film I've ever seen since the Star Wars prequels, which I always really love. And that doesn't really make or break a film for me, obviously, because of my love for the prequels. This movie is such a piece of shit in every possible way. Obviously, the concept is a very asylum movie concept. President of the United States at that time, period piece, fighting vampires. That's basically it. We tie in the Civil War to that, having the South be ran by vampires. Bias. Anyway, this sounded interesting, and it always appealed to me. Of course, like I said, it's based on a book, and the book used to be literally everywhere. You went to grocery stores, it was there, especially around the time the film released. You went to Walmart, it was there. You went to Big Lots, it was probably out there when they were still selling books back in the day. If you went to Barnes & Noble and Books A Millions, they were everywhere. They were all over the place. That particular novel, Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. And I did not want to read the book, but I wanted to see the film because it looked like it would be a big action set-piece film. And it's not that. And it's filled with action, but it's shitty action. You know what I mean? The shaky cam and all of that. It's a mess. It's fucking terrible. And now the fact that all these years later, 12 years later, you don't see that book anywhere. You don't see it literally anywhere I just mentioned. Tells you a lot. It's not a classic. It's probably not very good, very much like how you don't see, even in the horror sections of current bookstores, any version at all of Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies, or whatever that stupid-ass title is. Both just fell away. They disappeared. They're gone from the market. People are still not reading them and talking about them, probably for good reason. Like I said, I've not read either book. Maybe they're better. I feel like the book has to be better than what this movie turned out to be, but Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter is such a piece of shit movie in every possible way. You kind of follow Abraham Lincoln as a kid growing up into his presidency over time. When he's a kid, his dad is working for a guy who turns out to be a vampire, and when his dad assaults that guy over a situation that involves slavery, basically Abe Lincoln one night wakes up in the middle of the night in their cabin and he sees his mom being sucked on, not in a sexual way, but in a killer way, by this boss man vampire guy. Who's also in The Holiday. You know, my wife noticed that of all people. I didn't recognize him, but my wife noticed him from The Holiday, the Christmas movie. So he's in this, in case you cared, in case you wanted that. Yeah, so basically Abe Lincoln grows up with this disdain for vampires and eventually meets Dominique Cooper from Need for Speed, the villain, antagonist, whatever, from that film. And Dominique Cooper begins to train him kind of like in this brotherly way on how to kill vampires. One in particular way, Abe Lincoln says he was never a really good shot with guns, so he starts using an axe that has silver coated across the actual edge of it, which how would you sharpen this axe? I don't think silver would stay sharp like that, and I don't think a rock would probably, sharpen silver out anymore. I don't know how that would work or how that would be practical. Maybe it's explained in the book, I don't know, but it is not explained here, and anybody that knows anything about blades and knives and weapons in general, you're going to think that's fucking stupid. But the silver is there, and I kind of like the idea of why the silver is used. It was kind of a unique way of explaining that I've never seen anybody talk about anywhere in folklore or anything, really, from my small amount of knowledge about it, especially in movies and whatever. But Abe Lincoln uses an axe, and therefore he has to treat it like a teenager who can't break their Star Wars addiction. He's swinging it around like it's a fucking lightsaber toy from Walmart. And it just gets so goofy when you watch him do that shit over and over again. He might just be hanging out in his damn job. You know, and this is back in the day, so you had like one boss and you that ran the place. His boss is out of the building. This dude is throwing this shit around like a chick in high school. It was crazy. It was just goofy, and I don't know how people, day of shooting these moments, didn't realize maybe scenes like that needed to be cut out of this hour and 45-minute long movie. Why is this movie so damn long? It doesn't need to be. There's nothing in this that really makes it work, and frankly, the deaths of people like, you know, Abe Lincoln's mom feel kind of disrespectful. Whether you like Abe Lincoln or not, it feels kind of disrespectful to treating history in a particular person's life that way. It has a very Hollywood touch upon it. You know, like, Hollywood is going to exploit anybody they possibly can. This feels like that. I don't really care one way or another. I don't really think it should be allowed or disallowed or anything like that, but I do think it's mildly disrespectful at some certain points. Now, you do have another friend in here played by Anthony Mackie, who basically grows up around, sort of off and on, Abe Lincoln, and he comes from an enslaved family and everything. And I think Anthony Mackie was good in here. I think Dominique Cooper was good. And like I said, Ben Walker, who plays Abe Lincoln, killed it. Not so much when he's young Abe Lincoln, when he's working a job and he meets Mary Todd, who becomes his wife, but when he becomes older, when he is in the presidency, in the White House, Ben Walker killed it there. He looks like Abe Lincoln. He did a great job in this movie for that portion, but like I said, you're also sacrificing, because most of the film is boring. Most of it is just a CGI fest and training montage, but not cool, like a Rocky cool training montage, just shitty training montage. But later on, you have the good-looking Abe Lincoln, who looks like Abe Lincoln, in a weird, fiery CGI fest involving train tracks and stuff. It doesn't work, man. It just, to me, everything about this film is bad. I think it looks bad. I think the cinematography is bad. It has that Tim Burton issue, that I've talked about in the past, especially my review for 9, where sometimes when Tim Burton is involved, especially in recent years, like with the Alice in Wonderland films, they feel like there's a land created, right? Like a place, an atmosphere, but not so much a story or characters. Abe Lincoln Vampire Hunter is very guilty of that. 9 is guilty of that, even though I think 9 is a solid animated horror flick. This is not really like that. This has so much missing in it that could have made it a better movie overall. Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, I would like to say that it was at least worth my time watching, but it wasn't. It sucked balls, man. It was terrible. Everything about it was bad. The music, the CGI, the gore. When there's fighting, obviously it's CGI blood, because everything else is CGI in here. Why would we not have CGI blood? When people get decapitated, there is no blood, basically. There's nothing. No spurt, nothing. And you'll have scenes, little shots held here and there, of just showing a headless corpse just chilling there in a seat. No blood. And I'm like, why? But then the weird Southern, Civil War aspect of the vampires are the South. As a Southerner myself, or a mid-Southerner, I guess, Virginia's not too low down there, what the fuck? What kind of weird shit is that? Why would you pick that? That's the most Hollywood shit I've ever heard in my life, because despite what you may think about the Civil War, despite whatever you believe or wherever you live, motherfucker, there were bad people on both sides. There were bad people on both sides, and there were good people on both sides. Despite anything that you want to talk about with that, this shit is stupid. This shit is so stupid. This movie's dumb. It's dumb as fuck, and I hate it. I hate everything about it, basically. Aside from Ben Walker and the performances of Dominique Cooper and Anthony Mackie. And matter of fact, the chick playing Mary Todd is not too bad either. But aside from that, Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter is such a piece of shit. I just fucking hated this movie in every way. And even the weird motive for why the vampires are so... They're not just evil, they have a motivation, and if you've seen the film, you know that motivation. It's fucking stupid. It is the most stupid shit I've ever heard in my life. I don't care if it's about suspension of disbelief. You don't understand how stupid this is until you watch it. You really don't. So anyway, Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, have you seen it? What do you think about it? I'd love to hear all of your thoughts and comments about it down in the comment section down below. Have you read the book? It's got to be better than this. Even though the same writer's on it, I refuse to believe that the book is not a little bit better than this, despite the Hollywood bias and probably both stories. regardless, Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter on a 5-star basis, I would give it like a 1 out of 5 stars. I fucking hate this crap. It's stupid. Don't waste your money on it. If you see it used, or even a friend lets you borrow it, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't buy it from a garage sale just because it's like 10 cents or something. Don't waste your money on this piece of shit turd. It's terrible. It's awful, and you're gonna hate it and hate yourself for watching it. So anyway, hour and 45 minutes. I will never get back in my life. If it was not for this channel and how I've kind of dedicated myself to reviewing kind of bigger films that have some sort of following or people remember it from 10, 15 years ago, then I usually don't talk about it. I might do a community post or something. This kind of movie I feel like is worth sitting through to try to garner some kind of subs, some kind of views or whatever, and talk about something people might have a little bit of nostalgia about 10 years ago. This is one that otherwise I would have taken it out of my not VHS player, Jesus Christ, my Xbox, and not watched any more of it. I would have just given up entirely because of how bad it is. So anyway, what do you think about the film? What do you think about the book? If you read it, let me know everything you think down below. God bless you guys. Catch you later. 1 out of 5 stars. Goodbye.